I'm pretty excited. I've got a new and improved version 3 solve. There should be a word that's less definitive than solve. I mean, yes, it starts from the beginning. Yes, it gets you to a general location. I don't know, possible solutions, I guess. And what makes me so excited is not that I have a high certainty of where this is going to be. I mean, if I had to guess a number, it's still like 50%. I mean, maybe even a little bit less. But I just like that I'm going down rabbit holes. I'm using definitions of words. I'm using interpretations for sentences and stanzas that I haven't heard before. So to me, that's progress, right? If we all say the same thing, memories, river, time, then we don't get anywhere. But it's the new ideas, the new thoughts that make me excited. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this. I'm not going to read a story tonight. This is just going to be a solve. This is fresh solution. I've shared a few things with people in Discord, but for the most part, this is day one coming at you. Okay, so, and this is a build off of yesterday's video. Can you find what lives in time? Right. So real easily, you can just look at time. What are synonyms for time? One of the top 3 that you get with most websites is going to be rhythm, right? Time and rhythm. Also, we're going to note that time is repeated. So the way I've marked it down, I have a little like superscript A, right? Because time is one of 4 words that are repeated, right? Keep in mind that number 4. Can you find what lives in time, right? Another word for time is rhythm. So you can also say, can you find what lives in rhythm? Flowing through each measured rhyme. Another word for flowing is continuous. So you could say, can you find what lives in rhythm? Continuous, right? Without being broken, without being cut. Continuous through each measured rhyme. Rhyme is repetition, right? So another way we could look at this, one interpretation is, can you find what lives in rhythm continuously through each meter repetition, right? That's, again, that's not a great leap. All you're doing is you're using the same words that are written and just looking at a different definition. Why are we doing that? Because we're looking for those who read these words just right? It's reading is pronouncing, it's saying the words. It's not writing them. It's not doing a cipher, an anagram, right? When you're reading a word, you're pronouncing it either in your head or out loud. So that's all we're doing. We're following the instructions for the poem, okay? So again, that first stanza. Another way you could say it is, can you find, right? It's asking for you, the reader, to find, to do something. Can you find what lives in the rhythm continuously through each metered repetition, right? And again, that's just reading the words that's written. I'm getting excited because I like where this is going. So if we take the instructions and we're looking for the meter that's repeated, the meter for most of the poem is 4. Right, there's a couple there's one that's 3 and the one that's 5, but most of the time it's iambic tetra something. It's 4, right? So you can run it yourself if you don't trust me. So when the answer to the question, can you find what lives in time, that's flowing through each measured rhyme, is 4. That's the answer. The first question, the answer is 4. All right, and this is reinforced several times, not only in the book, not only in Netflix, but in the same poem. Let's just go quickly through all the 4s, right? The 4 is the meter of most of the poem. There's 4 words that are repeated twice. Time is twice. There's time in the beginning, time in the end. Flowing is repeated. There's flowing and flow. Guards is repeated. Guard, guards. And what was one more that's repeated? It is time, swift, race. I had it right here. Waits is repeated. Yeah, that's the last one. So it's wisdom waits and realm awaits. It's a little bit, you have to read it just right? Waits and awaits. I don't think it's a big of a stretch to say it's repeated. So those are your 4 words that are repeated. Time, flowing, waits, guards. All right, so that's one of the 4. The meter's 4. Is there 4 fours? I don't know. Here's the third 4 that I'm pointing out to you. Is the alliteration, the words that are together. Wisdom waits, shadowed sight, sacred space, tangled twisted. Again, that's 4 sets. So the meter is 4. You have 4 sets, and you have 4 words that are repeated. That's 3. I'm sure if we looked hard enough, we could find one more 4, right? Or you could say there's 4 rhymes with sight, right, bright, flight, and those are your 4 fours. Again, moving through the poem, the answer to the first question, can you find what lives in time, is 4. That's the answer. All right. Now we're going to move down. Wisdom waits in shadowed sight. There's a little hyphen there. I go back and forth on the hyphen. Half my sources say that this sentence does not grammatically need a hyphen. It's out of place. The other half says that when you're making a poem and you're a poet, you can add it's your prerogative. You can add a hyphen to create emphasis or pause. So if we're looking for, some technicalities here in the poem, right, I would say I'm putting the hyphen as a drawing emphasis to that particular line and looking at it as a minus or an opposite, right? Think of it as a negative or an opposite. So wisdom waits in shadowed sight. Throughout the whole book, the whole message from the book is plain sight. So why would the poem shift? Why would he put clues in plain sight in Netflix? He reinforced it with stories about being in plain sight, about the best treasures are in plain sight several times in the novel, and then all of a sudden the poem is shadowed sight. No, you got to flip it. So it's we're gonna change that from shadowed to plain sight. But is that the only word that's changed in a sentence? What's the opposite of wisdom? Do we want to go for the opposite of wisdom, or I'd rather use the opposite of waits, right? So instead of wisdom waits, wisdom is going to be moving. Wisdom is going to go. So all you fans of the Wisdom River up there, maybe that's something for you, or the Wise River, right? But for me, I'm using wisdom goes or wisdom runs in plain sight. All right, and that's the next one. For those who read these words just right, is again we use that as instructions. The place that I come to for the first sentence, the first stanza, is the four corners. I believe that ties in with his history, that ties in with his past. Hey, the four corners, right? Utah, Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, all very foundational. And it makes sense that that's where he was, that's where the book starts. It starts right there in Arizona. Then we move into New Mexico. If you're moving chronologically through the book, which again, moving consecutively was what he says. All right, so the first stanza, the first question is 4. Our first location for the first stanza is going to be the four corners. Drop a pin right there in the middle. Let's move on. Because there's no transition from the first to second stanza, this is one of the main things that makes me find different points. Because the first stanza ends, for those who read these words just right, and the second one starts, as hope surges clear and bright. So there's no transition there from answering a question, and now we're talking about hope. All right, so second point, as hope surges clear and bright. This is pretty interesting. You need to do some research. I'm going to tell you the brief notes, but if you want the full detail, research Columbia. Research the origins of the word Columbia, who she is, and her significance to America, specifically the founding of America and the spread westward, the westward expansion. All right. So you have, Britain, because we have a lot of our roots in Great Britain, England. So Britain has Britannia, right? It's a female representation, personification of the country. So the founding fathers, we came up with Columbia. And I forget who gets the credit exactly. And originally, yes, she was drawn more cartoonish, more, I forgot I think they said they borrowed like African roots for her. And later you can look at Wikipedia, it's a fascinating article, and watch how she transitions through the, I think, 17 and 1800s and becomes like less of a character and more of that woman on the, Paramount videos? That almost a Statue of Liberty-esque figure, right? And so look at her representation in art, particularly when you're talking about spreading west. She's a representation of hope, of the west, of America that's surging, right? We're passing our east coast going west. And, it's clear. A lot of times there's bright lights. She's carrying a torch. She's illuminating. That's another symbolism for like wisdom. She's spreading knowledge. She's spreading light. And I'm okay with getting the further down in the poem we go, we're going to be making a little bit more logic leaps, mental leaps. The very first stanza is right in your face. It's very simple. It's very easy. The poem beats you over the head with 4. The book beats you over the head with 4. It's 4. Right? Don't think too hard about it, right? Not entangled, twisted finds. This is where the truth is. It's 4. Now, as we move on, because it's no fun if the poem beats you over the head with the whole location, right? This is part of the puzzle, right? He gets you into it. You get an easy win, and now you're sucked in. Now you're hooked for the poem. So the first stanza is 4. The next beginning of the second stanza, as Columbia surges clear and bright. What does that remind you of? Surging clear and bright. Yes, we know it's water. Yes, we know it's a river. The Columbia River. It's on Justin's map, right? Originally, my solves only used spots that were on the map, on Justin's map, but since his last post where he was kind of dissing the map maker, looking for another map, I'm sensing a little bit of dissatisfaction. So whether he's trying to put his thumb into the hunt and sway people, I don't know, or whether that's genuine dissatisfaction. Either way, I'm moved away from every point has to be on the map, all right? But the Columbia River is on the map, and the 4 corners are on the map, so we're 2 for 2 so far. As hope surges, the Columbia River surges clear and bright. Walk near water, silent flight. So this is, we're walking down the Columbia. We're following it up and down. Right before the dam is where the water is going to be quiet because it's pulling up. Not after the dam, that's where it's going to be loud. So we look before the dam. Around the bend, mile marker 40 is a very drastic bend. Past the hole, there's a hole there called Bugby Hole. And the stuff that I'm finding, it's not impossible to find. I'm not an amazing researcher. It's just, I don't know, maybe a couple hours of research. Very simple Google searches, very accessible to everyone. But this isn't something that AI is going to pick up. Because trust me, I use AI for a lot, and I did not get the Columbia connection. I did not get Bugby Hole, but it's out there. It's verified by a couple sources. You can find it. So again, as Columbia River surges, clear and bright, walk near water, silent flight, before the dam, round the bend, mile marker 40, past the hole, Bugby Hole. Who's I? We're looking for a personification. It's the river. It's Columbia, waiting for you to cast your pole. This is where I'll probably get the most pushback from all you anglers and fly fishermen and fly fisher women who say Justin would never say rod for pole. Okay, I'm taking it. I'm saying he is, so I'm saying that. Don't get caught up on the rod versus pole argument. Okay, we're just going down the river. Believe me, if that's if that's the only thing I got wrong here is the rod pole, if that's the only argument you see with my presentation, my presented solution, I'm okay with it. All right, so let's just get by on that for now. We have our first point, the 4 corners. We have our second point. It's mile 40 on the Columbia River, right? That's going to be near the mouth, near the Pacific, right there by Bugby Hole. It sounds like I'm making it up. It's not. It's real. All right. Now again, there's no transition here. The last sentence is, "I wait for you to cast your pole," and the next one is, "In Ursa East, his realm awaits." It's a different place. It's a different point. We're not transitioning. We're not moving around through. You don't need to build on that last solve. That's done. You have that spot. So here we go. This is probably, I feel really strongly about the 4. I feel it's solid about the 4. The Columbia River, I feel pretty good about the Columbia River. This is probably one of the weaker ones, all right? But let's see if you can follow me here. So in Ursa East, all right, everyone automatically is going to go to, Ursa, the constellation. Everyone's going to go to Polaris. We're not going to Polaris. Everyone's going to look for, Bear Park, Bear Mountain. We're not going to do that. He did use Ursa, though. So we are going to look for a constellation, right? He didn't use Bear. We're going to use a constellation. We're going to look for a location that can build off of that. And the one that I chose is Alaska because it's on the map. And I feel like we have to use it. And I also like that we're going beyond the map's edge. So it's a couple things at play. It's weak. I get it. But we're going there. Look at the Alaska state flag. Look at the constellation there. Look, the east side of the flag is pointing toward the North Star, which the North Star is part of the Little Dipper, right? So, if I got this right, the Alaska flag is Ursa Major, right? And the North Star on there because they said I think it was designed by a 13-year-old, really impressive. But they said the Alaska is the northernmost state, so they wanted the North Star on there. The North Star is the last little tail, the last star in Ursa Minor, lowercase Ursa, and in the Little Dipper, all right? So all that points us to Alaska. So in Alaska, it's his realm awaits. Who's a him associated with Alaska? You could use Bear, I like that, but we don't have really a native connection yet, right? So we've got the time connection, we've got the water connection, we don't have a native connection. Let's use the Denali, right? I know recently, so this is, I don't know how much Justin would be able to control in this, this will make it a little bit harder to research, is that there's a whole back and forth between Mount McKinley and Denali, which some presidential power play there. But Denali in the native tongue means the ancient one or the great one. And so what better place, what better person to have a realm than an ancient one or a great one? So that's Denali, right? It's Denali's realm. The bride would be Denali's bride. You can Google who's the bride of Denali, who's the bride of Mount Denali. You're going to get Mount Foraker, all right? In native tongue, the name for that mountain translates to Denali's bride, okay? So the bride stands guard at ancient gates. This one is probably the easiest one to look up, ancient gates in Alaska, and you're going to find the gates of the Arctic National Park and Preserve. Very easy to look up. This is where it gets a little bit weaker, all right? Her foot of 3 at 20 degrees, okay? She has 3 main ridges on the south face. If you Google what's the face of Mount Foraker, it's a consensus, right? Because the face could be any side, but the general consensus for Mount Foraker is it's the southeast slope. That's the face. You can look it up. Almost everyone agrees that's the face, all right? Which I like because we're gonna need it for the next part when you return her face. Her foot of 3 at 20 degree down her face. There's 3 main ridges that are very noticeable, very from afar. They're very beautiful. A lot of pictures to be taken. The 20 degree is probably the weakest thing. You can use 20 degree for other solves, but I do try to keep them in the same sentence, and it's really not the slope. There is a 20 degree slope. I don't think the treasure's there on the 20 degree slope of Mount Foraker. I do not think so. I don't think there's any markers there. I don't think he wants you to go there. But it's fair game for a clue because it's not a cave, it's not a tunnel, right? I had to get rid of my last my last one because it was at Carlsbad Caverns. The only thing I will say is that there are sections of her face that are 20 degree, and there also is certain angles of the ridges that are 20 degree. It's kind of weak. I haven't been able to find a stronger connection there, but the next one works out pretty well. Return her face, find the place. So again, the whole point of stanza 3 is to find a place. We're not in Alaska looking for a spot in Alaska. We're in Alaska looking for a place. Not, even though it says find the place, it's not the place where the treasure is. We're looking at to find our spot, our point. And so what we're going to do is you're going to look at her face, the southeast, and you're going to return. So you're going to go opposite direction, which would be northwest. And from there, you're going to see Mount Osborne, which if you write out, MT Osborne, right? Now you're gonna go back to the mainland, right? It's a little bit moving around, and you're gonna find Osborne, and you're gonna find Osborne, Montana. It's a ghost town. That's a great tie-in to the story about the ghost town in Montana, right? Where he grew up near Dillon and Bannock and all that area, right? So, all of stanza 3, it's a journey off the edge of the map to get a spot to find a place that's back on the original map. All right, and I think it's kind of cute. Mount Osborne becomes Osborne, Montana. MT Osborne becomes Osborne, MT. You can look up Osborne, Montana. It's no longer a town. Again, it's a ghost town. It was, but there is a museum, and there's a schoolhouse, and there's research to find. Right, this isn't stuff that, again, none of this stuff you're gonna find really on ChatGPT or any kind of AI. Like it's pretty buried. You have to do some actual digging, which I think he wants you to do. All right, now we're at our 4th stanza. So far we've got 4. Very clear, very solid, feel good about the 4. We've got the Columbia River. Some people aren't going to like it. You have Alaska. A lot of people aren't going to like that. Some people are. Alaska brings you to Montana. Everybody loves Montana. I like Montana. We're in Montana. And now we're at the 4th spot, all right? Double arcs on granite bold. I did, because now I have 3 spots. I was thinking of, are we drawing circles around it? But I just didn't get anything that would give me the size of the circle to draw that we could intersect arcs with. So we still are looking for double arcs on granite bold. This one is just very simple. What state has the most exposed granite? And if you search that in the Western America, which state is the most exposed granite? One of the top ones almost every single time is going to be California. California's got a lot of sections of exposed granite. When I started looking further into it, I found that Donner Pass, Donner Summit has got a lot of exposed granite the mountains that are mostly made out of granite. You look there. First, I found the railway tunnels, and I liked the kind of history of the Chinese immigrants that were forced to do that. Not that I liked it, but I'm like learning about history, right? But again, I was reminded so gently that Justin said no tunnels. So we're not going to use the tunnels, even though there's double arcs on like 15 tunnels in that area. We are going to look at Rainbow Bridge, also known as Donner Summit Bridge, which is very beautiful, including pictures at the end of this, end of my little speech. And it's a beautiful double arcs. You can't get any better than that. And it's on granite. It's built on granite bold exposed granite. So, double arcs on granite bold brings you to Donner Pass, the bridge, where Secrets of the Past, like, I don't know, a mile or two past the bridge, is an actual monument dedicated to the petroglyphs of that area, the petroglyphs that were carved on granite. So that's where Secrets of the Past hold. Beyond the reach of Time Swift Race, Wonder guards this sacred space. If you look on the monument dedicated to the petroglyphs, they say it's a sacred space. The word sacred is right there. So that's, I'm not saying that that's a checkpoint, even though that I thought that the checkpoint would be words on the poem directly onto a monument that you could, but it's only one word. If the monument said like Wonder Guards or Sacred Space, it just says sacred, which I don't know. It's not the strongest. I think this stanza is stronger than Alaska. I definitely love this spot for this spot. Plus, if you look at our 4 spots so far, we've used like 6 or 7 chapters from the book. We've used Netflix clues, and we've used most of the map, right? And we've used places that are fundamental to him growing up, right? So, I mean, it's all looking pretty good. All right, the last part, this is where we're getting a little bit disappointing. Sorry to say, because if I had the last part solved, I wouldn't be talking to you. I'd be on a plane going to get it. But I believe that we're either going to be looking near that last spot, Donner Pass, which it's inaccessible a lot of the year. So I wanted a more warmer climate. So what I've done from here is I've taken my 4 spots, I've taken my 3, made a triangle. I made my 4th one, and I've I was toying around with, do I make an arrow? Do I make a box? Is it a triangle with a line? And then I thought, hold on. Justin said specifically this is continuous, it's in order. And so far, anything I've done, you could have done out of order. Nothing really made it in order. So what if we do go in order? We start at 1, down here. We go up, okay? We go over. There's no intersection. We haven't done anything. And then we cross back down the 3. Now we've made an X. We've made a cross. We've made an almost all 4 sides of an hourglass filled with the sands of time, right? It all comes back to time. So once I made that pattern, it also looks like a 4 from the side, and it also almost looks like the Angar. So that's when, okay, now we have an X, now we have an intersection. We look at that X. Depending on where you're looking at an X and how accurate you've drawn it, you're going to end up either in southern Idaho, which I was already in Idaho, right? Or you're going to look at northern Nevada. Southern Idaho is very beautiful. Northern Nevada, no offense, looks a little bit less magnificent from some places we've been. Alaska, gorgeous, jaw-dropping. Donner Pass, gorgeous, jaw-dropping. 4 Corners, beautiful, haunting in its own way. Southern Idaho, Northern Nevada, no offense again to anybody who lives there. It gives me a little bit of a pause, but I like where I'm at, and I'm going to keep working this solve and keep tying it down. Now, there are beautiful spots there. There's unique spots. My only issue now is that a lot of the roads in this area are gravel or like a hard compact. They're not paved. So now I have to go back and read the rules again. Would Justin disqualify that? How does he feel about it? He said you don't need a high clearance. The roads are very flat. I mean, it's very low grade, very low slope, very fat. So maybe it's all in play, because the dirt roads go to some amazing, there's a couple like hidden canyons back there. When you look at this area, look at the map that I'm going to show you in a couple seconds. Look at the names of the places in this area. You have a Haystack Mountain. You've got Duck Reservation. We all love the ducks, right? Needle in a Haystack. We talked about that, right? There's a bunch of weird named mountains that look like anagrams in that area that have no reviews, no comments. Like one of the mountains is named like Ungina Wango, and it's on Google Maps, on Google Earth. You can see it there. But when you Google it, you get like 4 hits. That's it total. Is that the confirmation? Is the confirmation, could it all be as simple as I mean the checkpoint? Could the checkpoint all be as simple as he made a tag, or he changed something in Google Earth or in Google Maps, or left a review on some place, and you have to, I don't know. I'm still figuring that part out. But all I'm saying is, look, oh, the best part is southern Idaho, there's a town called Four Corners. Very, very small town, super tiny. There's no paved roads, a dirt road that goes through it, but it's called Four Corners. So what you seek, you already know. The first thing we found was Four Corners. Now we've made 4 connections. We've made the giant 4. We've hit 4 corners, and now we're back to 4 corners. So it's like, all right. So that's it. I'm not gonna belabor the point and go on, because I think if it's a decent solve, it should stand on its own 2 feet. I'll probably talk about it a few times with anybody who wants to talk about it. Maybe I'll do a live show. But again, if it's weak, that means I need to go back, keep working. So I'm going to end the video here, and I'll show some, there'll be some pictures, and you'll hear my theme song again. So again, I still need to do a 2,000 subscriber video. That's coming. The weekends are a little bit busy for me, and I still need to, put up the last clue for Estes Quest 3, which is finished and completed. Which actually Jenny Kyle released tonight, 6 questions with the winner. So be sure to support that. Go over to Jenny Kyle's page, Mysterious Writings. Take a read at that article. Go ahead and like it. And yeah, just thanks again. Thanks again to the community. If you haven't subscribed to me, please make sure you subscribe, like the videos. And if you are interested in joining the lives whenever they come out, as random as they are, hit the notification bell. That way you'll get notified. All right, guys. Hope you enjoy the solution. Bye.
Now listen, all you treasure hunters, searching all around for plunder. Do you need some help to be your best? There's something that you're trying to find, but you're about to